And we are live with the Think Fitness podcast. It is February 19th. It has snowed on us here in Salt Lake City. My name is Matt Gluckman, and we have a co-host over there in Boston, Eric Menchi.
What's up?
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to get into this podcast with you. And I think that's where we're going to start with today's episode, is just getting to know about us, how we got into the fitness industry, and what we're here to do and how we got into doing a podcast together.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I think what's kind of funny is we both started off at Equinox and Franklin Street, or that's where we met. I don't think that was our first gym, right? You were at a different gym before that.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I was at a different gym before that too. But we both went to Northeastern at the same time, and we didn't know each other at Northeastern, right? We were there, I think, around the same years.
Yes. Probably passed each other, but didn't realize it.
I was 2009 to like 2012.
Oh, I was a little bit later. I was in 14, 15, working.
Okay. When you were working you were working in the strength and conditioning gym?
Correct.
In Cabot?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was all the D1 athletes. They wouldn't even let regular gym goers into that facility.
No, you had to be over across the way in, was it Moreno?
Yeah, exactly. Which was a great gym. That was an awesome gym to start off in. It was it got busier and busier every year though, and then it just became a madhouse.
Fitness is taking off. It is for that school that it's a beautiful gym. You know, the size of it, I just think it would just get too crowded.
Well, so there was two gyms on campus. There's Marino, and then there was another one over by their like parking garage, over by Ruggles. But it was way too small of two recreation gyms for that student body. They'd need another facility for sure.
Yeah, they're growing rapidly over there.
Yeah. But that's where I got into lifting. I definitely wasn't as serious about it in high school, and then about sophomore year of college, I was 125 pounds, 130 pounds soaking wet, no confidence whatsoever, pretty bad social anxiety, terrible nutrition. I would like eat a Nutri-Grain bar in the morning, go to class, and then swipe once to the dining hall and eat everything. And then got into the gym, started working out 5 days a week for like 2-3 hours at a time. I was eating 3 meals a day. And I remember just blowing up and getting addicted to the gym pretty quickly.
Now, what got you into the gym? Was it a friend just wandered in there?
I had always been like a student athlete type person where I enjoyed being on the soccer field or at wrestling practice more than I did being in the classroom. So, I did do some club sports, some recreation sports in college, but it sort of forced me not having any organized sports activity every day after school to wanting something like that. And then I just decided to go to the gym every morning just because I liked the way it made me feel the rest of the day. Releasing endorphins, I definitely felt more positive. And I think what initially drove me is just sort of of a lack of feeling good, honestly. Like, I remember, definitely going through like a depressed and anxiety-driven state, and driven to the gym in a way of just feeling better about myself. And then it just became a habit 5 days a week, and then it just became a part of my life just because, again, I just felt the way it made me feel. And then like getting bigger and looking better, that was just all a byproduct.
So you really got on the train quick. What point did you kind of realize you wanted to do it as a career or kind of get into the training aspect? Was it later on in college, or is it more more or less like you knew as soon as you started lifting that this was something you had a passion for?
No, it was like, man, because I went, not only did I change majors 3 times, but then after college, bounced around at different sales jobs, door to door sales, real estate for 2 different companies, a moving company that I worked for a little bit, did Uber, and then ended up at a gym. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'd always know I was going to be in like some type of service field, working with people. But it wasn't probably until um, like 2014, 2013, 2014 that I thought maybe I should make this my career, because it just hit me like a ton of bricks. Everyone always tells you, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and find your passions, find your passions. It's easier said than done. And I remember just like thinking about it, contemplating it one day, and I'm in the gym working out, and I was like, oh shit, why don't I try this? And yeah, I was working at my first gym job in 2014. It was like, I think I started working there around like the summer. It was gym. It was right across from BU's um, rec center.
Another place where we could have met when I was over at BU in 2013-14, right across there, working with the strength coaches, with the club teams, and train some of the teachers. I mean, I look across.
You didn't ever go over to gym it though, did you?
No, I always saw it, but I never went in.
Gotcha.
Walk by every day.
You would have been disappointed if you had walked in, only because of the lack of equipment. There was no barbells whatsoever. There were 2 Smith machines, and that was it for squat racks.
So how'd you get by? Did you squat?
I mean, legs, we got creative. Legs, we would do the preset weighted barbells and go high reps, and then we would get on our backs and use the Smith machine as a leg press, which actually isn't that bad of an idea. It sounds pretty dangerous, but if you set it up in the right angle, it's actually a pretty good idea.
Improvise, just do what you can.
Yeah, exactly. More volume through heavy reps and sets than anything else, than going heavy.
So you must have really missed kind of like full squatting, squat racks, the whole 9 yards, barbells, deadlifting, bench press.
Well, before that, I'd only been introduced to those lifts in high school, and just like very poorly and very little, and we were more introduced to hang cleans as being part of the wrestling team, which looking back I can appreciate, but we never really had formal gym training. It was kind of like, all right, here's gym time, we have 20 minutes, go move some weights around. And we're all just a group of people just walking around, joking around, doing some dips here and there, doing some, it's just different machines, so we never really got too heavy into it. So my first real gym was Equinox when I started lifting, and that was awesome, because then I got into deadlifting more, into squatting more. I mean, I would work out at Gym It, and then on Saturdays go to oh my gosh, what was the name of that gym? It was like a popular gym up in Everett that had a bunch of barbells, and it was old bodybuilding gym. But we would deadlift there every Saturday, and front squat and stuff like that, bench, because we just didn't have it during the week. But at Equinox was my first place where I had it like every single day, and it was awesome, because then I just got that much better at it.
Introduced a whole new repertoire into your toolbox.
Oh, for sure. Went from just having to use dumbbells all the time to barbells, and could just be consistent with it. Like, I remember only getting to deadlift every Saturday. Like, it felt awesome, and I thought I was doing like a lot of weight, but quite frankly, my form was terrible, and I was doing more weight than I should have at the time. But coming to a place where I could do that stuff more frequently, my weights just like flew up. It was awesome.
Incorporate a lot more into the daily routine goes a long way. I mean, we've all come from those gyms where it's like 2 barbells, mainly dumbbells, machines, and you're limited to completely figure out what you got to do on your own. And, I started in a blast fitness out of a workout world, and it was, you had to get by with what you could and everyone else working. I mean, what I had half rack, one squat rack
So we're
for like thousands of people. I probably squatted once a week if I was lucky. Other than that, it was dumbbells, front racked.
so this was before you started working at Northeastern?
Yeah, this is before even I started working at Equinox. I worked there for about like a month once I graduated college. Got a job right out there. Was pumped. Not making great money as a trainer, but it was like psyched to be a trainer, and it was definitely an experience. It was eye opening.
But when you first got into your first gym working out, it was what was your first like nice gym like at Bridgewater, your high school?
Yeah, they had a pretty nice weight room. Small, but it got the job done. Squat racks, clean platforms, benches, full dumbbells up to like 100 pounds, and that's where kind of my career started as a freshman signing up for football. Had to put the weight on, had to put the size, speeds. One of the coaches there was a strength coach. So I kind of followed him closely with the whole program, and you couldn't keep me out of the gym. I would be in there for
And this was high school?
high school. And I was
Damn, that's awesome.
probably 5'11", 139. Same thing, soaking wet. Couldn't lift.
Full string bean.
Couldn't lift 95 off the bench to save my life. Like, it was a struggle, shaking, embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I wanted to change that. And that's what kind of started my drive, just to not be that person and excel on the football field.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous actually, because I do remember like the football team would have like organized lifts in the gym, and yeah, there was nothing like that for like the soccer team or the wrestling team. But like looking back, I really wish there had been some type of organized workout or organized lift for us, because we still needed it. I don't know why they would neglect it. It's just probably not as important.
Yeah, I think
for performance.
A lot of coaches back when we were in school kind of was like, oh, go run, do your aerobic work and do more skill work. Weights weren't on the radar. It was football, track throwers. That's it. We didn't really have, lacrosse, baseball, soccer, working out. And I think that's changing now. You look at high schools, they're starting to hire strength coaches. They're starting to get all these teams involved just to be better, to more marketable, win championships. But it's great to see that this whole thing's at the high school level is changing. And that's where you're going to get the most growth and development out of these kids. Then they go to college.
Oh, absolutely. That's like the prime time age range, like a critical period, quite frankly.
Yeah, if they say the college is really good growth wise, but if you get someone, 14, 15, all the way up to 18, their growth potential is huge in that time frame. So
they talk about especially your type 2 muscle fiber. There's a critical period for how much your body's going to develop, but actually that starts at even a younger age. Like if you have like some kids older than like 6, just make sure they're jumping up on their toes all the time, and they'll produce more type 2 muscle fiber as they get older.
We nailed it. Hopscotch, biking up hills, high resistance stuff, jumping, running fast. It's all critical.
Just take a BB gun and just shoot near their feet the whole time.
Keep moving,
Yeah.
But I think that's what a lot of times you see these younger athletes start to develop these skills, playing sports, soccer, baseball, football, where if they can more develop on the aspect sides of strength, plyo, conditioning, you see a greater effect as they get older. You see those type 2 fibers greater. Because I remember I had friends, and they'd bike everywhere. Kid ended up being one of the fastest kids in the States. Had quads like you couldn't imagine at 17 years old. And that's all because, lifestyle, what they did, outside playing, and you don't see kids outside playing anymore. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah. I mean, the technology world and social media and all that stuff has really made everybody a lot lazier. It's true. But um, I think too, like that's also a trend that you see in the information that's presented in the industry and the field. Because back when we were in high school, the stuff that was being promoted would be like for an endurance athlete, like a soccer player or a track runner, they should only be doing like body weight stuff. They don't need to be doing any weightlifting. And quite frankly, now they've come to show that, oh, you know what? Like if you can get a marathon runner to squat heavy and deadlift heavy and bench heavy, that their fibers are just going to be that much more durable in a long-term, like what's what I'm looking for, like stimulus and like constant movement on that muscle the whole time for 26 miles, it's still going to maintain strength throughout that time period. So they've sort of steered towards the gym, if anything else, because every information points back to you got to be using weights. And I think when we were in high school and stuff, it was kind of just like an option, and people wouldn't necessarily have a definitive answer whether you needed it or not unless you were a football player. Then it was like, yeah, oh yeah, for sure, you need weights. But quite frankly, there's benefits to weights in every single athletic performance-based sport or even goal that you're trying to achieve.
Oh, totally. And I can remember the soccer players saying, oh, we shouldn't really work out our legs because it would make us slower. So we only work out upper body and then we'll go run.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I do remember hearing that too.
It would just be like such contradiction. Like you're not going to get slower. If you train those correct fibers in the right way, you'll actually get faster. But that will, like you said, that was the idea. That was the thought. Many times these coaches really didn't understand. And not to knock them, they're just high school teachers. They don't understand the complete complexity of the demand of the sport, the conditioning, the whole system, which I get. But now that I think there's more information out there, coaches are getting better. They're more honed into certain sports that it's starting to, you're going to see a lot of changes. Now you're going to get like hockey specific coaches, track specific, and then down the line, they hire a strength coach. You program right for the team. Everyone kind of starts adapting the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think they've been able to get more focused and get some specific studies and long-term studies in to show the benefits of weight-bearing exercises and lifting heavy. And I think, the whole industry came out of Joe Weider, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, and it was all about weights and muscle growth and looking big and being big. And because they were taking the natural enhancements at the time, aka steroids, testosterone, and all that stuff. So it even still transcends into today's thought process when people talk about the fitness industry. I mean, just the other day, someone was telling a story about how they used to weight train, but they added on so much muscle that they don't do weights anymore. They just do bar, and they eventually want to get back to weights, but they don't want to get too big. And it's just funny how it works because yes, you can use weights to grow a muscle, but that's not necessarily the be all end all. And you don't have to grow your muscle. You can just become stronger if you work out correctly and in the right modalities.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of get confused. They think, oh, as soon as I touch a weight, it's going to grow. Or they'll be like, I just want to tone, so let me do 12 to 15 reps. And when you look at science, that's the hypertrophy range where you're going to put lean muscle mass on hypertrophy. Now, you tell people to go heavy and say, well, now you're going to train the muscle completely different. You're going to train it for more power, strength. It's not going to grow as big. I think that's where people get like that. They freak out. They think heavy weights, they're going to get really big, bulky. But they'll put on like a couple pounds lean body mass and they like panic. Like I wish I could continue to put on the pounds and muscle mass that people say they're sporadically gaining. But I know that's from like the stimulus of being a first time lifter.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like, I mean, I used it as that way. Like I wanted to get bigger and stronger, and I used it um, to do it in that way. But when everyone first thinks about weightlifting, that's their first introduction to it, and it's, you know, not only is it it's a fear for most women, but it's also like a desire for most men, and it's actually one reason that got me into the industry in the way that I am, because I'm not really about promoting an image. I'm about promoting a lifestyle and consistency. And I don't like the fact that, you know, you look on these health magazines or fitness magazine or men's fitness, and these people are not necessarily a icon of health because of their certain things they're putting into their body, injecting or taking orally, whatever. Most of these people aren't, they look amazing. Sure, their muscles look super chiseled, but it's not a natural look. It's not naturally attainable, and it sends the wrong image and almost makes things unattainable for certain people. And then it makes, you know, the magazine companies happy because people are going to buy this magazine now, but it's going to be misleading to the people because they're not going to look like that, even if they do the same workouts, because, well, quite frankly, they're not injecting the same chemicals.
Right. And it
But
does
for women,
like a lot of lifestyle too, you know, what this person's eating, what this person's not eating. It gives you a program. And, you know, that's similar to how I started. You know, you see a magazine, you'd be like, I want to be that big. I want to, you know, be
yeah,
strong and define and tone. And where I kind of found that I struggled looking back was the nutrition aspect of it. Because I ate, but I didn't eat the right foods. I wasn't taking in nearly enough protein, you know, fats, carbs. I probably wasn't even getting close to enough calories a day, but I'd kind of eat whatever's there because I didn't know. You know, hindsight's always, you know, looking back, you'd be like, I'd do this over again, but you learn. And that's why I think we're here, is to tell people, you know, the right path to take and the right philosophy to look at training and how to approach it, and not just see these magazines and just, I'm going to do this, I'm going to look like that. And then they get frustrated, they stop, or they just don't do the right things and they're not seeing the results.
yeah, I got, yeah, absolutely. I think that's one thing we want to try to steer people towards. I don't know if necessarily we're going to tell them the exact right thing, but as long as we can get people to start questioning um, maybe what their current routine is like, and being skeptical about being what is told is the perfect diet or the perfect exercise, and starting to think for themselves and search for the answers for themselves, because everyone's body's different and everyone's solution towards whatever goal they're trying to attain is going to be different. So just by like stimulating people to think outside the box a little bit more and think for themselves and get more information, I think that's the first place to start.
Yeah. And I should say,
Um,
using the word the right way was the wrong word. 'Cause like you said, there's so many different approaches and everyone's a little bit different. This program's really good. This program's great. There's no one right program for everyone. But we'll kind of guide people in a way that helps them benefit the best.
yeah, because in the end, it's like the gym's like a laboratory, and you got to change a variable at a time and figure out your results. And you're just doing little experiments on yourself all the time, and tweaking things and figuring out the perfect storm of diet and exercise and life, and how you can combine them all in a way that makes things better for yourself and not get in the way. Because I think that's also one place I always like to start with people is, especially when I'm sitting down with somebody who's just getting into the gym after years of not doing anything, is I'm like, I just want you to look at the gym as like your time. I don't want it to stress you out. I don't want you to look at it as work. Like whatever you do here, these are your hours. This is the time you're putting towards your body and your health, and they need to follow suit. And I think so many people, when they end up in the gym, fall into a trap of, either doing what they see other people are doing or doing what one person told them to do, and they just do that almost just to go through the motions, and just so that because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, I think everyone looks for the perfect program. I sure did. And, it's taken me a while to kind of accept that there's no perfect program. I started
Yeah.
doing, you know, full body work as a athlete. Then I went to bodybuilding to see if I could put on size and mass. That worked till a point. I thought that was the perfect program for me. Wrong. And there's been on, plenty other programs I've been on. You see results, great results, but you understand that there's no one perfect program that you can do for the rest of your life that you're going to sustain goals. Like you said, you have to vary it. You have to change things up. And I think that's the great part now is, I'm on a cycle where it's a new workout every 12 weeks, or I'll shorten it, new phase every 6 weeks. And it's just a whole new adaptation for the body, whole new stressor. And it's where I'm not getting bored anymore or just feel like I'm plateauing, getting stale. And I think a lot of people that I talk to are always looking for the perfect thing to do. What can I do that's right? How come this person looks like that? If they're doing this, I'm doing this, but it's not working. And I think people understand that they have to constantly work at it, and adapt and change what they're doing to get the results that they need.
Yeah. And I think some people, um, I think there's a lot of ego when it comes to the gym. And I can definitely be one of those persons that fell into that trap, because I wouldn't really listen to other people except if they were like, I would look for the biggest or the strongest person in the gym, and they became like who I would talk to, who they were like my best friend. I was trying to get information out of them, get tips from them. Those were my go-to people to learn from. And I was kind of stubborn elsewhere. I never thought about like asking the personal trainer. But when it comes down to it, it's like, I think the best example, because I saw it so much at Equinox, was like the finance and investment industry. If I have my money, where do I invest it? The best way to handle it. I don't even know where to begin. I would definitely need a professional to coach me through it. And I think when it comes to the gym, it's hard for some people to accept. Yeah, I don't know the best thing for me to do in the gym, but I want results, and I want to learn more about the gym. Let me go see what this trainer is about. I think more people need to look to and use the trainers at their gym. I even have relatives that reach out to me asking me questions, and I tell them, like, you should honestly go invest in a couple sessions from a trainer at your local gym that you work out at. It's going to go a long way. Odds are they're probably pretty well trained, and they're going to be educational, and at least start you off in the right direction. And if you don't like it, you don't have to continue doing it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many different variables out there. Why not have like somebody help you? Like, for even a small example is like going snowboarding or skiing. If you've never done that before, even just having one lesson goes a long way into your experience with it. So there's something to be said for having someone at least show you a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah, it's never a bad idea to ask for help because you can always learn something from someone. And I think a lot of people at the gym setting get that kind of intimidated, like, oh, they're going to set me up with this program, that program, I have to do this forever. Or, some people just want one or two sessions, quick refreshers, or want to learn some new techniques. And that's all it is. And that's great. That's fine. As long as you kind of see these people going to do it, I'm absolutely happy to talk to someone about techniques, styles, or even, people on the floor that I don't train and I know what their goals are. Little tips go a long way in just kind of, being like, oh, this person said this, it worked for me, go talk to him. And I think once you kind of get into that point of the gym, and there's always going to be timid people, but you start.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the gym is like, testosterone's flowing, it's like a jungle. People are out there to get stronger in the world, in that primal aspect of their body. And not only is it, kind of emasculating feeling for a man to ask another man for help and ask them questions that they're thinking in the back of their head, like, man, is this a dumb question or not? And then, for women, they don't want to get hit on. So they think as soon as they go and talk to a guy trainer, the guy's going to think that she's hitting on him. And, to her, uh, to her point, the guy probably does think that. So it can be like a kind of confrontational environment for people. That's why I could appreciate the floor shifts at Equinox, where you just walk around, say hello to everybody with a big smile, because it does make you more inviting. It makes people, at least if you do it the right way, it makes people more comfortable at approaching you and asking you random questions when they arise.
Right. You're just not someone they've never seen before. And it does go a long way of building rapport with everyone in the club, even the person that doesn't talk to you but sees you talking to, other people for a while. They kind of see that, and then they're a little less, kind of pull back, and they'll kind of talk to you maybe next time you come over. And I think that's really a good aspect that a lot of people, same thing, take advantage of and kind of don't take it serious. And they're missing out on a lot of good connections. There's people I talk to, I've never trained a day in my life, probably will never, but give them tips, ask them how their workouts are going, see what they're doing, and just give them a little advice here and there. Doesn't hurt me. It just still builds my rapport with everyone else they talk to and people around.
Yeah. I mean, I even learned some stuff from some people who I randomly talked to at the gym, who, aren't trainers, or they aren't clients, and maybe sometimes I'll just get like a different spin on something that they're doing, and I find interesting, or they tell me a story about an injury they overcame, and I'm like, wow, that's really interesting. And yeah, I have actually one in particular that we can go into later that really like sat with me and really identifies with me about my philosophy in the field. But to get back to you, so you started off at basically your major was exercise science, right, at Northeastern?
No, so actually I worked at Northeastern. I went to Bridgewater.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But when you're at Northeastern, you were already working with the strength and conditioning team.
Right. I was in the process of getting my master's in strength and conditioning.
Were you working with the sports teams at Bridgewater?
No, they didn't have a strength program set up, which now they actually do, kind of to compete with all the other schools in the D3 conference in the area. So now they have a kind of a full-blown strength and conditioning program, but none of that was available or even kind of thought of when I was there,
So
which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
so
right.
Just lift on your own, lift with teammates, and you're done. There was never an organized lift.
So then Northeastern you were an intern?
Correct.
And how many like strength and conditioning coaches were there?
They're pretty small staff. So we had 5 of us, strength coaches plus interns. So it was, very small, but great place to learn. So much information there to grasp and take in. And I think that was probably the best thing for me, because I had looked at other schools like BU, BC, Brown, what they have, pretty extensive strength staff. But I think the close, small group setting in Northeastern was a better fit for me. Because it was nice. 1 or 2 interns, we do one-on-one, a lot of coaching, and it wasn't, you go to Harvard and there's up to 10 interns where it can be a little crazy.
You're just probably just sitting there observing everything, and you can't really even ask too many questions or go in depth on too many things.
Right.
Yeah. So then were you working at that other gym when you were interning at the same time?
No.
Okay. So after Northeastern, you went on to Equinox.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. And you were there for about 2 years before I came on?
Yes.
Nice. Nice. And then, and then I worked there for 2 years, and then I went on to work at a different gym out in Salt Lake.
Take the talent out west.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going down to South Beach, take my skills down to South Beach. So then was there like, do you have an experience or a story that like really greatly affected you and shaped the way that you train and the way that you approach fitness?
Yeah, I think, coming out of undergrad, you had a grasp of, how to program, how to train, but it takes a lot of people the first year or two to kind of find your style of training, kind of realize, how to interact, how to coach, how to kind of teach someone in a way that it's not like, shit, you're not getting this, or how do I coach this, rather than an approach of that they can understand. And, we've all gone through it. First year, it was tough. And then I think my experience at Northeastern really helped solidify my kind of training style, philosophy, kind of way of coaching. As in,
And were you doing one-on-one at Northeastern, or was it like group settings, like small group settings?
it was all teams. So we'd get teams, but you could go individually. If someone needed a little more, coaching, cueing, you'd go with the individual while overseeing the other team with the coach, which was great because it kind of wasn't just you're saying something, they're listening, they're doing. You could actually work hand in hand with, a couple athletes that needed more attention. And just the style there, the kind of mentality, all shaped kind of how I program and coach today, where it's, before you come in, not really know, all right, is this the best exercise? Should I do this? Do I do 10, 12 exercises? Now I kind of have a good flow of a session of, I want to accomplish this, this, and this. We're going to work on this for this phase, then switch to the next phase and not worry about too much going on or too many variabilities in, whether it's 3 or 4 weeks, kind of help really shape the kind of learning. And that's what when I mentor people, you kind of want to get them a good grasp of, how to kind of be a presence on the floor in coaching. You want to get your point across, be stern, but also cue, look professional, and take that because everyone's watching on the floor. It's just, you're not your client looking at you. You have everyone else kind of eyes looking at what you're doing, what you're training, how you're training, what your
absolutely,
what your demeanor's like. And I think that goes a long way to always be vocal, kind of be a presence on the floor or wherever you are, and kind of get your coaching style under wraps. That's why I tell a lot of people coming in is you got to find your style and go with it. Don't try to change up every time with every person.
And what do you think your style is more directed at or defined by?
Probably the intensities. I like to get people uncomfortable. I'll push people kind of past their limits so they can realize their full potential. Kind of basis of my philosophy is a lot of times in that me at one point, we don't realize what we can fully accomplish. And if you push yourself, whether it's hard enough, long enough, you're going to realize what you're capable of. And I think that's a big thing that people need to take away from a session is you're not just lifting a dumbbell. You're realizing what you can push through, push past, and become just doing weights or conditioning. And then you come back and do it again, and you realize that you can apply that concept to anything in life. And that's where my philosophy, I want it set home, is that this isn't just a gym, a weight setting. Even when we had athletes, you want them to be able to realize that what they can do in the gym, hard work, commitment, and have that integrity, if they go out and do that in business, they will be successful.
Oh, yeah, there's so many transferable skills from the gym that can be applied to everyday life and be extrapolated onto other greater experiences. Um, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, having the dedication, the motivation, the discipline, the hard work, the willingness to push yourself through mental barriers or physical barriers. Um, yeah, it's really. I mean, I gained a lot of confidence through the gym, um, and then just being able to be more positive in life and just having a better control over my health and psyche in general was a really big byproduct of getting to the gym for me. But um, yeah, I think that is, you know, a great ability to have to push people to their potential. Because yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways that people limit themselves, and when you can get them to realize, like, oh, wait, what was the weight we just did on that? Oh my god, I didn't know I could do that, and just feels good to be able to get somebody to that point.
while helping them achieve their, their health goals. And whether they realize it or not, it kind of builds into character of a person is what they can accomplish in an hour. And going for that is just, if you get people in pain, or maybe it's not just a goal of weight loss, but someone just wants to feel better. And I think that has a huge impact on people, because everyone's got pain issues. And, to get someone to realize that they can work out and live life without pain, it can change someone for the good, and realize that they're not just limited to what they've been told.
I think I think that's what actually helped shape me a little bit was I went and did an internship at a physical therapy office and saw these people come in with these injuries and have to rehab their injuries to get back out into a healthy um, lifestyle where they're not in pain anymore. And I was like, you know what? I want to take it a step further. I want to prevent that pain or that injury to begin with, right? So let's make people strong versions of themselves. Let's be proactive about health. Let's be preventative rather than people having to wait and spend money on surgery and pharmaceuticals. On we spend that money on eating a little healthier and getting a gym membership. Um, and yeah, I mean, making people the strongest versions of themselves is such a cool thing to have the influence of to do for people. But also, like, for me, I know like the mindset played a huge role. Think fitness life, mindset, exercise, nutrition. There was a guy that I came in contact with at my first gym, and he was, long story short, he had an accident where he was going to be paralyzed from the neck down. They wanted to replace his vertebrae with metal vertebrae so that they wouldn't collapse on his organs and he'd die. Um, but he didn't want to do that because then he knew he'd have to accept that he'd be paralyzed for his life. And he said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna eventually walk again." And he made that decision, and he just stared at his toes for a year until he was able to wiggle them and move them. And he spent a whole year getting that movement down, getting his legs to move, then doing leg exercises, and then he spent the following year doing the same thing with his upper body. And if you saw this man, and when I first met him, he's doing full body workouts. It didn't look like he had any sort of injury whatsoever. And just between that and some other smaller examples at the physical therapy office, it really showed me that, your mind is your control center. Your mind controls the body and vice versa. And for me, coming out of the social anxiety and depression, it was just kind of like a reminder, like, stay positive. And if you point your mind in the right direction, there's going to be fear and second guessing, but if you're stubborn about it and you keep pushing your mind in the right direction, pretty much anything you want and everything that you can get your body to do is possible.
And I think that's what's great about, the podcast and everything is it's just not, picking up weight, lifting, lose weight, fat loss, muscle gain. This is more just how can you get better quality of life? How can you take control of your life and live it how you want and not be limited to these things? And that's where I think, especially you just said your philosophy just of the whole grasp of this Think Fitness life is to integrate everything together. It's not just what you do in the gym. It's kind of what you do upstairs in your brain and what you want to do, and you keep driving. I mean, how many people do you think would be like, okay, I'm paralyzed, that's it, I'm never going to walk again, and just give up?
Well, I could blame modern media for that, because that would be something that would be portrayed. That's sort of like common knowledge, right? If you break your neck and you're paralyzed from the neck down, you're going to be like that for life. And it's, because we didn't have the science to get there, but it doesn't mean that we can't be hopeful and eventually get the science to get there. But yeah, I mean, I think the same is true for every injury, disorder, disease. There's a great quote by Deepak Chopra, and he says, what you pay attention to grows in your awareness. So if you're always focused on negative things, that's going to grow in your awareness and become more apparent in your life. And when you can focus on the positive of things, that grows in your awareness, and that becomes what circulates in your life. And let me see if I can just find the quote so I don't butcher it real quick. Let's see.
And I think, having a positive outlook, and I try to coach that every day, is huge, because a lot of times they might be small. We all have our complaints, and I tell people kind of like, there's always someone out there that could be worse off. I mean, look at the guy who's paralyzed and said, hey, you're never going to experience feeling again. That guy's probably like having a shitty day. Your negative outlook on traffic might not be that bad. So if you can turn it around into a positive one, changes your whole outlook of everything you do that day, whether it's work, working out, you kind of set that tone. We all get negative thoughts. We have to learn to kind of suppress those at times and get back to positive and get back right on the right track.
Absolutely. Because it's kind of like when people say, like, oh, I had such a shitty day, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. And it's usually because something bad happened to them in the morning, and then they're just thinking negative and down and out for the rest of the day. So that's what they look to as what is happening to them for the rest of the day. But the quote is, what you pay attention to grows. If your attention is attracted to negative situations and emotions, then they'll grow in your awareness. So just like you'll be aware of all the negative things all the time, and you'll only start to see that, and then you'll start to get bitter and to say, why me? And there's all this negative stuff's happening. So there's definitely a huge benefit to staying positive. And I think that's one thing that we're going to bring to the table with this podcast. And I think another thing too is, like, you kind of were talking about it, about training day in and day out. And I feel like we have, between the conversations we were having at Equinox and continue to later when I moved out to Salt Lake, it's just like we have just a lot of good information that isn't just like common knowledge in places, and just different ways of thinking about things just from our experiences and the way we look at things, I think help depict a better image of the fitness industry and the better image of certain aspects of the fitness industry that I want to share with people, and I want to be able to help other people change their life by informing themselves.
Yeah, it's not going to be just, hey, look at a magazine, this is what you're going to do, this workout's good, this workout's bad. Getting more in depth of, how can we change ourselves, our thought, our thinking, nutrition in different ways that, the mainstream media tells, eat more vegetables, fruits, yada, yada, yada. Different approaches that work and kind of really get people out of their normal habits, or, oh, I tried that, didn't work. So kind of take a different approach and really help people.
Yeah. And it's so hard to just speak in general about what's best in certain aspects of things, because when it comes to one aspect of the fitness industry, like we'll say example, a good example is like white rice, brown rice. There's benefits and time and a place for each. And it's hard to say like definitive statements without having like an exact example or a infield example. So I want people to feel like they can all the time write in emails. The email address is thinkfitnesslife@gmail.com. We'll read them on the podcast. We'll answer them. And I just want to make this like an open forum for people, because I love being able to specifically help someone with a specific problem, because then you can be more definitive about what's best for it and what's not best for it. But when it comes down to it, when it comes to nutrition, at least, there's a diet for every single disease, nutritional issue, neurotransmitter malfunction. And, they always talk about like the cure for cancer. Well, we actually have a already preventative cure for cancer, and just the way you shape your nutrition and your diet.
Right. And that can be from a young age. Food has a lot to do with a lot of illnesses and issues that we've kind of created as humans. And, I'm not going to say food is medicine, but you can definitely eat the right foods to prevent certain issues and to really aid the issues in going away or change it. And that's what we need to the people.
Yeah, I don't think necessarily. I don't think you can use food as medicine as a way to like make something go away that you already have, but you can let food be your medicine, as in being preventative and being proactive. And we can get into more in depth later, but I think if it comes to curing something that you already have, fasting will go a long way. But we can talk about that at another time.
Eating right for your gut bio.
Yeah.
What foods are beneficial for it, what will completely destroy it and make you, basically susceptible to these issues, diseases, and so forth.
But that's one thing that we can help clarify, and I want us to help clarify, because that was definitely a big misstep in popular culture. It was just how the American diet was shaped, and what fueled the shaping of the American diet, and what is more of a political issue than nutritional, quite frankly. But just help people make the right choices for themselves.
Absolutely. Goes a long way.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up today. We're at about 50 minutes here. I think we had a good chat, and I think people can get a good idea about what our podcast entails and what will be coming on future shows. And we'll be covering topics from CrossFit to ketogenic diets to what exercise will make your biceps look the best.
Whatever people want to talk about.
Yeah,
I'll talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to keep this light, casual. Again, I want people to write in Think Fitness Life. That's all one word. thinkfitnesslife@gmail.com. Send in your questions, comments, concerns, good or bad. We'd love to hear them. And as we get more and more into this, we'll be able to at least hopefully have an idea of what at least is coming for next week's show, so we can give you an idea at the end of our episodes. But for now, we'll leave it open, because I don't want to call myself a liar and say we're going to talk about one thing and we won't end up doing that.
We'll address it in the beginning of next episode.
Sounds good. Well, all right. It was good chatting with you, and see you guys next week.
Later.